The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everyone. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that every MSP deals with, but few have truly mastered, and that's access management. Whether it's onboarding new users, offboarding departing employees, or just managing the day-to-day chaos of access requests, it's a tedious task that can eat up time and introduces risk. But it doesn't have to be that way. So joining us today, I'm going to bring in a special guest. I've got Chieng here with us from Josys. How you doing today, Ku?
Fantastic, Dan. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. And, Josys is a great company helping MSPs take control of access governance. And this goes way beyond the basics with automation, audits, and even some AI. And so we're going to talk about how MSPs can shift from reactive ticket takers to being more those proactive lifecycle managers, and where Josys fits into the mix there, helping to make that transition not only possible but profitable. So we've got some exciting stuff to talk about today. But if you could tell our audience briefly, your role at Josys, that would be great.
Absolutely, Dan. So I am the director of sales here for the U.S. market here at Josys.
Excellent. And so you guys have been a great partner of us for some time now, and we really appreciate all that you guys have done. I appreciate you being here today because sharing those insights is incredible for our audience. And so with that being said, we're going to just set the stage and kick things off. So with that, let's talk a little bit about how MSPs are typically handling access and permissions for their clients right now. What does that process look like?
That's a good question, Dan. Because we have so many MSPs we work with, and then each one of them has a different process right now. But I would say if I thought about that, the common thing is it's still a very manual workflow. And that's what it looks like internally at the end of the day, right? When you think about what's needed in terms of an onboarding process, right? The security aspect of things, the ability to provision, deprovision licenses, the IT strategy. There's just so many things that go behind it. And each MSP has to do it a little bit differently for each one of their clientele. But at the end of the day, the common theme that we run into on a regular basis is the tedious manual workflow that they have to put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the struggle with that is because it is very tedious, that's where things can go awry. And that's where, you forget one little piece of the puzzle and things could become a security issue. Policy and procedure are great, and as long as they're followed, but having the ability to automate things can make things so much easier. So I mean, and again, this falls into everything, right? It's not just onboarding, but it's also offboarding and everything in between, right?
Absolutely does.
So if we take a look a little bit further from here, as far as finding efficiency, one of the things that we talk about with efficiency, especially through automation. So how can MSPs start to automate access management, and what kind of impact does it have for them?
Well, when we talk to our clientele, our MSPs that currently use Josys right now, um, automation is one of the biggest things that we try to preach to the team. And it really starts with understanding how folks are using certain tools. And once we have a complete understanding with how folks are using certain tools, then the automation piece will actually fall into place pretty naturally. And what it really looks like when you say how do folks start with that is um, either one, with the onboarding offboarding aspect of things, that's usually the most common things that folks need automation and folks need help with. It's just building workflows in terms of teams, in terms of departments or policies or anything that one may need, so that we can provision the correct licensing. And then that way there's no mistakes, or we can provision, we can deprovision folks when they leave the organization, making sure that at the end of the day, we don't put any company or any companies that aren't left at risk with, hate to say this, but disgruntled employees who still have access to the organization. Access management, but access management can range from a whole host of different things, Dan, and it really it really boils down to each organization, and we've discovered that there's so many folks that have so many different needs in terms of what they need automated, and that's the beauty of Josys. We have the capability of doing such things for them. I mean, we can even automate access management and down to uh, the smallest thing in terms of whether or not folks should be using a certain application within the organization, by sending out simple emails, and taking away that mundane process of an IT team actually having to reach out to these folks individually. Certain things such as a period of time that goes by. Let's just say you don't log into a certain application, the period of time that goes by, it'll trigger an access review that would automatically change the licensing or take away the licensing in general. So when it comes to automation, I think it's an important topic to talk about, and that's one of the things that we are at Joseph pride ourselves at doing for folks.
Well, I guess when we take a look at this, we all want to have faith that each of our team members are going to just follow the process, but things do slip through the cracks. And so is this where you guys come into play to, just to ensure that, every I is dotted and every T is crossed?
I would like to believe absolutely yes, and
Okay.
and 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 I'm with you on that one. We do want to believe in the best of all of our teammates, and
Yeah.
everyone does their job with the best intentions, but we're also in an era where folks are wearing multiple hats, and that's
Yeah.
where the slippage happens, right? So to
Yeah.
your point, absolutely, when you build these automations with Josys, and you let Josys complement what you're currently doing right now, we're going to be able to help you eliminate some of the misses that are unintentional but do happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so, kind of moving beyond that, so many MSPs stop at offboarding and onboarding, or vice versa.
Mhm.
But, you're just saying that's the beginning. What are MSPs missing by not delivering a full lifecycle management?
When you think about the services that MSCs provides, right? For example, identity, access management, remote monitoring, just application usage, shadow ITs. The list goes on and on and on. And a lot of MSPs have the capability of doing this, but these are the things that I'm talking about that are very manual, that take a lot of time. And when you think about an MSP, uh, an account manager in an MSP manages anywhere between 20 to 50 accounts.
Yeah.
And for an individual to manage 20, 50 accounts on a regular basis and provide this level of service manually, you're asking a lot. And I hate to say the word impossible, because there's some really great folks out there that do this, but there are a lot of things that are going to be missed. I mean, things as simple as just auditing, right? When I
Yeah.
talk to my MSP, I talk to a lot of the clients that we have on board, and one of my questions is, how often do you provide these audits and reports to your clientele? And the answer to me is always, I wish I had the time to do so, but I've got 25 different MSPs that I've got to deal with. It's impossible for me to provide all the information. So those are just some of the certain things, right? That they deal with on a regular basis, in addition to the onboarding and offboarding of employees.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a really good point of how many accounts that, whether it be an account manager or, any of the technicians in an organization are dealing with. And when we talk about policy management and access review, as far as what it looks like in practice, I guess I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more about just how realistic is for dealing with multiple clients, because you want to look at, essentially if you're looking at it account by account by account, it can be an overwhelming process. So I'm just thinking about, where are there ways in which that can be more efficient through a multi-tenant process?
Yeah, let's just talk about access management because that's the biggest one that a lot of the MSPs that I work with deal with, right? So you're 100% correct. You take the scale of what an MSP has to deal with. One that MSP has to deal with anywhere between 20 again plus accounts. That's just the accounts that they have to deal with. Now you look into the accounts and you go a little granular, you go a little deeper. Now you have to talk about the applications that they're dealing with, all the SaaS applications they're dealing with. Each company probably has anywhere between 20 again to 25 different tech stacks that they're working with within the MSP's 20 to 25 accounts.
Right.
In addition to that, you have to now look at the different departments that they have to deal with. HR departments, finance departments, sales departments, operations department, right? So now you get another 5 departments that are into each company. And then you have to take a look at each employee that's a part of that organization. And that depending on how big the organization is, you can have anywhere from 10 to hundreds of people within that organization. So you have an MSP that deals with anywhere from mid-size to like a larger enterprise organization that has anywhere from 500 to 1,000 employees. Think about the amount of work that individual has to do just to do an access management review for that organization. And that's where Josys comes into play because it automates that process where it allows certain individuals, or it just it frees up the manual need to do that. Josys
Yeah.
provides the ability to create certain triggers with certain workflows within the organization, within the departments, within the applications that are being used to trigger these reviews that will automatically get sent out to the end user, so that at the end of the day, that MSP, that company can compile the data that they need in order to make the decision whether or not these are the right tools to be moving forward with, or if they need to do anything internally to improve the organization. And that's the beauty of an automated access management review process. So, um, I most folks don't think about this because they don't have to do it on that kind of a scale. But the ones that do, they understand the time and the investment it takes to complete this. And that's why I mentioned earlier when I asked folks how often do you do these audits, the answer is I wish we had the time to do it because that's really how detailed it is for an MSP to do that.
Yeah, and the risks associated with not doing it are substantial. I mean, we are talking about, number one, of course, in when I say this, I'm not making it sound trivial, but on the lower level, just the impact it might have on an end user. If maybe they're not assigned certain applications and so on. But when we take a look at the depth of access management, essentially we're talking about governance, compliance, and all the associated risks that comes with that. So, this is so much more than just making it more efficient. It's ensuring that we're doing the right thing for that client to protect their business.
Absolutely. There's so many factors that go into exactly what you're saying, right? Because in a day and age where we have so many applications and we have AI apps popping up, I don't know, thousands by the day. The ability to monitor this and to take access, have access reviews and all of this will help you eliminate those risks. Um, in addition to risk, Dan, I think it's also productivity. If you don't have the right tools for the right folks in the right place, it also prevents them from being, as from optimizing their particular role or position. So having this information is critical from all aspects, from productivity aspect to a risk aspect, and it's huge. It's
Yeah,
going, it's definitely needed.
absolutely. Now, for any of our audience members that want to learn more about Josys, you guys offer something I'd like to learn a bit more about. Is you have a free SaaS health check that an MSP can do for up to 2 of the clients. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what that is and, how they're able to use that to kind of kick the tires and see how this could help them with all their clients at their practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we say we do a free health check, we'll provide you the full suite of Josys for two of your clients. Gives you an
Okay.
insight in terms of how this works. So you have a firsthand experience in terms of what's going to be provided. That way, when you approach your other clients, you're not speaking in theory. You're speaking from a place of knowledge, right? And when I say we do a health check, is we go in, we'll sync, we'll hook up the APIs, we'll do the browser extensions. We'll assess the way that the clients are being managed. We'll assess the risk that the clients put themselves in terms of shadow ITs, all the above, and we'll give you a full blown report. And it's not a light version; it is the full deal of Josys. And then that way you have an analysis and you'll be able to determine if this is something that will provide benefit to the other clients that you may have within your book of business at the end of the day.
Awesome. And for anybody that's looking to learn more about Josys, of course, you can go directly to josys.com. So it's JOSYS.com. I've got that scrolling there. Of course, if you are at the everythingmsp.com site, you can search for Josys. You can learn more about them there. You can, contact them, put in a request to schedule a demo as well. And Ku, before we go, any parting words you'd like to share with our audience?
Absolutely. The other day I was talking to my buddy, and he's SVP of sales, the SVP, and he was talking to me about his IT team, and he said, "Well, these are things that we're thinking about." And I said, "If you're thinking about them, then it's probably an issue. You should jump ahead of it
Yeah.
before it happens." So my last thing is, folks, if you have any concerns or any thoughts that there may be a possible gap, even if it's not with Josys, contact someone that does SaaS management. And in a world where we use so much SaaS to make our lives better, I would say use a tool to manage your SaaS so you understand if the SaaS that you have in place is the correct SaaS for you and your team.
Excellent. Ku, has been a great conversation. I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate your knowledge. For all of our listeners out there, if you've been living in ticket land, constantly doing that onboarding, offboarding, juggling those permission requests, there definitely is a better way. Tools like Josys are helping MSPs automate that grind, reducing that risk, and delivering ongoing value to your clients that they will notice. So with that being said, everyone, thank you for your time being here. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.